Good morning. It's Friday, and we're here for the Brew with Paulina, and we're going to talk about the world leaders who gathered in Switzerland for the Davos event. So let's see what Paulina has to say about this one. It should be interesting. Let's get ready for the opening bell. Hello, Paulina. How are you?
Hey, Lex, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. You notice there's someone missing today, right?
Right. It's
Yes.
not a full house without Molly. So
It's not a full house without Molly. Molly is tending to some personal matters. Everything's okay, we hope, but she will not be with us today. And she's, this is right up her alley, the Davos event. So it's Davos, right? Not something else like Davos. I want to say Davos, but it doesn't look right.
I'm pretty sure it's Davos.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, we'll go with Davos. So these leaders gathered in Switzerland, and they do this every year, right?
Yep, it's an annual event.
Annual event. Okay. Break it down. Tell me what's going on here. I'm going to play the conspiracy theorist on this one a little bit, but I'm going to behave. I'm not going to be out in the woods. I'll be fine. So what's going on with these folks?
Fair enough. So yeah, as you said, the world leaders, they gathered in Switzerland. They talked about the issues that are happening around the world and, what their thoughts are about them in terms of solutions and how to make progress on certain issues. So I wanted to highlight some of the key takeaways. There was a bunch of takeaways, but I wanted to, take things from a business perspective and a bit of a political perspective. Of course, those two subjects are always intertwined. So let's start with comments from Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase. So there was a lot of talk about Ukraine, and in particular comments from Jamie Dimon. He was stressing the importance of supporting Ukraine against Russia in order to help preserve democracy worldwide. That was his case. And he wasn't the only business leaders. There was a few other business leaders who met with Ukraine's President Zelensky, who was also present at the event. And they were discussing things like redevelopment of Ukraine once the war with Russia is over. We don't have a picture of what that may look like, but it was a heated topic of discussion. And I will note that if you zoomed in when Dimon was speaking, he actually was on an interview with CNBC. He was wearing a pin of the Ukrainian flag. So I think that was kind of some sort of a statement there. So those were some comments from Dimon. So I'll stop there to get your reaction.
So he was, just so I'm clear, Jamie was pro helping Ukraine in this battle, right? Or in this.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Him and a lot of other business leaders are supportive in terms of the financing of the redevelopment and the restructuring of Ukraine. So they're, in terms of the discussions that are being had, a lot of these business leaders are working directly with Zelensky and his administration in order to reconstruct and rebuild the country.
Right. And did you get the impression were most of these leaders at this convention pro Jamie Dimon's thoughts? Do you think they were on the same side?
I think so. If I would say a majority were, I would stick with that. Everyone was really responsive to Zelensky's presence there. As I mentioned, there was discussions that these business leaders had with Ukraine's president. So they were very receptive and open to receiving him.
Okay, got it.
However, I will say, I think that kind of differs from how the American public feels. I was looking at a few polls, and if I remember correctly, Americans are not really bullish, if I were to use a business term, on aid to Ukraine. But we have seen a lot of business leaders and, of course, politicians full throttle supporting this, huge aid packages to Ukraine.
Sure. Yeah, I wonder. Did you notice it? Did anyone bring up how this could end, this Ukrainian thing? I mean, I find it hard to believe that Russia just walks away from it, right? Do they
Right.
speak about that at all, or just indicate how they think this kind of concludes?
I think it's very kind of like we're kind of just looking at next steps from a short-term perspective. I don't even know if there's kind of a long-term view on what comes
Mhm.
next, but from the short term, I know that Ukraine's supplies are dwindling and
Mhm.
they're running out of money to support its military. So one of the reasons why I believe Zelensky was at Davos, and he always wants to be center stage in any sort of global event, is because he wants to get more funding for his country.
Mhm.
So because those financial resources are getting lower, I think the next step is Zelensky wanting to get more money for Ukraine.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't see us really abandoning that, no matter what the political fallout is over here. I think
Right.
I think we kind of stayed the course on that one. I kind of agree with that. Okay, interesting. What about artificial intelligence? I see that was another big topic, right?
It
Yeah,
certainly was.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another thing, like zero DTE in my business. Artificial intelligence is the talk of the town. What did they have to say about that?
For sure. Yeah, business leaders, they were all about the talk on AI. They were talking about the pros and the cons of it.
Mhm.
AI has, already had widespread adoption, but the crazy thing is it's still a new technology. So at the same time, there was a lot of concerns that were being raised around the dark side of AI.
Mhm.
There was a top executive from Meta who was saying how this year is going to be a very pivotal moment
Mhm.
in how AI is being incorporated in society. So with that, there were conversations around AI regulation, how companies can make money off of AI and monetize it, and how it could add value to the industries that it serves. So it's no surprise that AI was part of the conversation because it's a huge theme. It was a huge theme last year in the stock market, and I think it's going to drive a lot of the activity this year as well.
Okay. So have you ever been? Yeah, I mean, have you ever been on LinkedIn or one of those, or not LinkedIn? More on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
all these models, there's like AI models. So I don't understand what that is. This
Yeah.
is totally an aside on AI, but are those real people? I don't get it. Or are they just made up people from the AI sphere? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, okay. So you're talking about like these holographic digital created.
People, are they real people, or is it just they start from scratch and they build this person, which is kind of creepy.
It's Yeah, it is pretty creepy. I know that for Meta in particular, there's a huge push into the metaverse, and they're actually coming out with this uh, virtual reality headset in order to compete with Apple's
Right.
Vision Pro. And this is the whole gist of Meta, who obviously owns Instagram and Facebook and
Mhm.
WhatsApp, and they're trying to push generative artificial intelligence, and they have been um, into their business. But it's supposed to be a different world, so I think they're just warming us up with these little holographic figures that we see on social media. It's going to be a crazy new thing.
Right.
We're not really sure what
Yeah.
to expect, I
I,
think.
I don't get it. You see these people like, that person can't be real, and then it's like, well, maybe they are real, and then they do it with homes where they create this mansion, let's say in the mountains, and it's like they call it AI. So I'm assuming they just build it from scratch. That doesn't really exist. They just kind of build this thing. It's amazing what they can do. Um,
Yeah, the AI models, they keep getting more advanced, so it's really impressive the type of stuff that you can do with AI
yep. Now,
and
do
yeah.
you see AI being I don't know what the right word is, a solution in the stock market potentially for investors, where they can use AI to help them with their investment goals and decisions. Will it ever get to that? I notice when I ask a question about that of Bard and ChatGPT, they kind of push you off to the side. We don't do that right now, or that sort of thing. I wonder if we get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, when you think about all these robo advisors investing apps, they already incorporate AI into their applications. All you have to do when you download the app is put in some personal information about that relate to your investing goals, and it generates an investment plan for you. And I mean, there are even some apps that kind of tell you when it would be good to buy, when it might be good to sell, and all this is AI generated. But that's kind of like the first iteration of AI. I think to your point, we'll probably see new generations, new iterations of AI that will probably enhance things like investing and making decisions around, when to do trades and things like that. But that's going to, be prevalent in probably all industries to make life more efficient.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, one of the applications I could see using AI for in our business, in the trading business, is kind of more like a back tester of sorts, right? So give the machine a series of strategies or positions, and have AI back test it to see, how that would have performed over the past, and get it sort of a rating of sorts. For the best types of trades to do in the current environment, that sort of thing. I mean, there's so many different levels you could push it, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, we probably don't even know some of the ways that we can use AI at this point. The funny thing is, I was doing a report on AI, and we don't even have enough people who are educated in artificial intelligence in general, like engineers.
Sure.
We don't have enough engineers. So even the talent that's out there is lacking. So we have a long way to go in terms of understanding this new technology.
Okay, cool. Well, it's here to stay. I think. I don't think it's going anywhere. I do find it fascinating in some respects. I do use it, so pretty cool. Especially when I want to write a poem. I always use it for a poem. So very easy, because I'm not a good poet. So
right. I mean, yeah, you forget about your limitations with AI. You can be creative.
I'm thinking it could even write like your wedding speech or something like that. I mean, who knows where it stops, right?
I mean, artists are using AI to write songs and stuff like that. So
I love it. That's awesome.
Crazy.
All right, topic number 3. It's the debut of this Javier dude, the Milei, right? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Milei, from Argentina. Tell us about him. He was kind of a big deal. He came out as the capital anarchist or something. What's he all about?
Yes, so Javier Milei, he is the newly elected Argentinian president, and he made his Davos debut, and he had some sharp words, to say for the audience. In his speech, he gave a speech, and he was talking about socialism, and he was saying how socialism ultimately leads to poverty, and that world leaders, particularly in the West, they need to reject socialism as a way of governing, and that capitalism is actually the way towards prosperity. So he's been a really strong figure in the global arena, and he's caught a lot of people's attention for the way he kind of approaches his speeches. He's kind of like a Trump sort of figure. That's how people like to compare him. But his speech was moving for some, scary for others. But either way, he caught everybody's attention.
Very interesting. I'm sure that group of Looney Tunes out there, they might have thought he was from way on the fringe.
Right. Yeah, I guess it depends who you ask. For some people, it was a logical, reasonable speech. Others who kind of reject capitalism, I guess, maybe, and maybe are more towards the democratic socialist, whatever political spectrum you're on, you'll get responses from different people. But since he's the new president, it's important to pay attention to what world leaders are saying.
So I think wasn't Argentina? Didn't it go true socialist though before him? If I'm not mistaken, Max would know. I think it did, right? So as a result of that, the country's been impoverished. So here's this guy busting out of the old guard of sorts, and saying, hey, that obviously didn't work. I haven't seen socialism work economically yet. So let's give this a try. This is goofy. Pretty interesting though.
Yeah.
So he must be top burner right now, front row.
For sure. It's curious to see what what the rollout of his plans look like. He was calling for things like abolishing the central bank, and adopting the U.S. dollar, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but it was something related to the dollar. So yeah, he definitely wants to turn the country in the right direction.
That's good. It needs it. So that's a great spot too. So, okay. Any other things popping around there that you can think of? I know they talk about, the climate a good bit at Davos, I think, right?
Right. Yeah. The climate was another one. There was also talks about the economy, banking. We talked about Ukraine. So it was a big event where a lot of big theme topics were discussed. So
now, are you going to get invited there someday, Paulina?
Yeah, I'm going to be interviewing these executives there.
Oh, soon. I love it. I'm going to come with, and we're going to do a show. We're going to do a show.
Perfect. Let's do it.
It's pretty nice there. I think I'm going to like it in Switzerland.
Yeah, you can go skiing there.
I'll bust the skis out. 100%. I love that idea. All right. I like it. Very cool. Okay. Big weekend planned or no?
It's to be determined. I like to make my plans last minute. So,
right. Well, so
we'll see what happens. Maybe do more exploring around the city.
Yep. I love it. All right. Good deal. Well, thanks for that. No Molly today, but she'll be back probably for next week. So best wishes to her on her time off. Okay. Good to see you, Paulina. Take care.
Good to see you too. Catch you next week.
Yep. Have a good week.
You too.
Bye.